All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Potato Head Theater. Today's story comes to us from Acts chapter 13, verse 1 through 12. Here we find an incredible story about the first two missionaries of the church. It takes place just shortly after Jesus has risen from the dead and ascended to heaven. His disciples have begun telling many people about the love of God. Thousands have already accepted Jesus as their Savior, but the church realizes that they can't keep the truth of Jesus to themselves.
Hey guys, I don't think we could keep the story of Jesus just to ourselves.
Yeah, I think we should take it out into all the world as Jesus commanded us to. I think you're right.
So the church chooses to send two men, Paul and Barnabas, out into the world.
Paul, Barnabas, it's your job. We select you to go out into the world.
They lay hands on them and pray for God to anoint and protect them as they go into a faraway place to share the truth of God's love with those who have never heard.
Dear God, please give them favor as they go out and tell everyone about Jesus.
Paul and Barnabas sailed off to a distant island called Cyprus. They immediately began to preach about Jesus.
Everyone, you should hear about this man named Jesus. He loves you and he died for you.
They told everyone about God's love. They even caught the attention of the governor, and he invited them to come and tell him more about God.
This man Jesus you tell me about, he's interesting. Why don't you come to my house and tell me more about him?
Yeah, okay, that sounds awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
However, there was a sorcerer nearby who began to scream at Paul and Barnabas.
No! There's no way that you can listen to Paul and Barnabas. They are worshiping a false god. They will lead you astray. Don't listen to them ever.
He said, "Don't listen to these men." He was trying to keep the governor from believing. Paul and Barnabas knew that God had sent them there. They knew that the people of the church back home were praying for them, that God would protect them.
God, I know you're with me. I know you're protecting us right now.
They were not afraid of this evil sorcerer. So Paul pointed at the sorcerer and said, "You can't stop the power of God."
You, sir, you can't stop the power of God ever.
Suddenly, God struck the sorcerer blind. He couldn't see a thing.
Oh, my eyes!
My eyes now.
He began to crawl on the ground, begging for someone to take his hand and lead him away.
Please, someone help me. Someone take my hand. Help me.
When the governor saw what happened, he instantly knew that God's power was real and more powerful than evil.
God's power is totally real and more powerful than anything I've ever worshipped before. Please, tell me more about Jesus.
He instantly became a believer in Jesus. He became a Christian, all because Paul and Barnabas chose to leave the comfort of their home and become missionaries to the island of Cyprus.
Jesus, I accept you as my Lord and Savior.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on another episode of Potato Head Theater.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time.